Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Prashant and today we are going to learn one more feature in SwiftUI. So today's video I am creating specially from one of my subscribers where he asked me how to do API calls in SwiftUI. So for today's example what we are going to do is we are going to call this iTunes API, and in the response we will get some data which we are going to show inside the list like this. So you can see that I have fetched some data and I'm showing that JSON response in my table view here, or you can call it list in SwiftUI. So this is the URL which I have called and I've got the response. So that URL I will be typing in the actual project, but you can see that the response which I have got is something like this, and this is the response, and here I have opened that response in this JSON viewer where you can just check the data in structured way. So you can see that we are getting one main response dictionary. Inside that we have this result count, that we have got 50 results, and inside this we have these different types of, so inside the results array we have got dictionaries of different data. So what I have done is I have searched for Taylor Swift and I've got this response. So what we are going to do is inside app you can see that we have displayed the track name and collection name. So track name is You Need to Calm Down and Lover is the collection name. So here you can see that track name is You Need to Calm Down and collection name is Lover. So we are going to see how we can fetch this data through API and how we can parse it and how we can display it inside our list. So let's get started and see how we can do this. Before getting starting, if you want to see more features like this in SwiftUI, you can subscribe to my channel where I post daily videos on SwiftUI. Whatever I learn, I try to share that with the community. So that's my main goal. So let's get started and create a new project like always, and we'll see how we can do this. So I am using here xcode 12 beta, so make sure you are using xcode 12 beta and above. Okay, make sure you are selecting here iOS and app, then let's name it as API demo. Make sure these settings are selected and click next, and let's save it on our desktop. Okay, so the first thing what we need to do is we have to define our model, that what response we are going to get. So as I have told you at the start that we want to track only the collection name and track name, so we will create our model like that. So let's get started with that. So I will create a struct and I will call it as result, which will be confirming to Codable, and then inside this I will have my one first track ID, which is used for my list to define each element uniquely. Then I will say track name. Make sure these names are same as here where you are getting this response. So I have this track ID, collection name and track name I am going to use. So we have already used two things. Let's add the third one, that is collection name, which is again type of string. So we have got our three things ready. Now I need to create one more struct. This will be my response codable, and inside this I will say let result be type of array of result. So let me explain you why I have written this one. So you can see this result is nothing but this array of this. So here if you see clearly that my this response is also array of results, so that's why I have declared it like this. So now let's start by creating our main view, but here what I will do is at the start I will say @state where results will be of type my result array. Now here we can start by creating our view. So I will say navigation view, and inside navigation view we have to use a list which will have nothing but our results, and ID, one unique ID we have to pass, so that is nothing but our track ID's response we have to do. So here what I will do is I have this track ID, so I will use that track ID, and then I will say items in, so whatever the item in each index we are getting, that will take from here. So now inside this list I will create a vstack, and inside vstack I will give it some alignment. Let's give alignment of leading. Okay, now the main thing that we want to display inside our vstack, that is this track name and a collection name. So let's do that. Text, first I want to use item dot track name, then let's give it some font. I'll give font of type headline, and the second part we want to display is the collection name, so I will say item dot collection name. Okay, so now our data is ready. Now what we have to do is we have to do the actual API call, and when we are going to do that API call is whenever I am going to call my or whenever my view gets loaded, then I have to call that API. So for that what you have to do is on this list, what I will do is I will not on the on the list I'm going to create one function, that is on appear. This function gets called whenever my view gets loaded. So inside this I will say perform, not like this, it's like on appear perform, and perform we will say load data is my function which I'm going to call. So currently I have not written that function, but I will write that in a while. Then I also want to give a navigation title, so let's give that, and title will be like we have given already iTunes API here, so we'll give same. Now it's giving me error here because I have not written this function yet, so let's now write that function and call the actual API and download the JSON and pass that JSON and show it on the app list. So let's get started and create that function here now. So to create a function, what you can do is you can directly create that function and use it like just outside this here. So what I'm doing is I'm just writing that function outside this body. So I will write function, my function name will be load data. Now this error should go. Okay, now it will go, and now you can just reload that view again. Okay, so currently it's not doing anything, so that's why we have this here blank list. Now we will write our function. So first we need to use the URL, so let's do that and check the URL. Guard let URL equals to URL from string, and here I need to pass my URL. So my URL will be http itunes.apple.com/search, and I have to search the term which is Taylor, and one more word which I will add using the plus. So Taylor Swift I have added, and again I have to give entity, means the type. So it's a type of song I want to search from the iTunes API, so that's a song. So that's my URL ready. If there is any error in this, so I will say just return, but before returning I will say print, I will say invalid URL, and then I will return from this function. So now we have the URL ready, so let's use that URL. So first I will create a request, let request equal to URL request, and inside this we have to pass our URL. So let's pass the URL which we have checked above, and then I will call the actual API using URL session.share.data task with a request URL I will say, and I will say here my request, and it will give me three things: data, response, and error. And make sure you also call here resume, otherwise this function will not work. Okay, so now if we have coming inside this function, it means your call is done. Now you need to check your data. So let's check if our data is valid or not. So if let data equals to data, then we can go inside and then we can pass it. So I will pass it like if let my decoded response equals to try. I have to use try because it may throw error. JSON decoder dot decode, let me use braces here, and here I have to decode on my response types which I have created at the start, response dot self. Okay, and from we have to pass our data here which we have checked above here. Then now we have got our response data, the decoded response. Now what we have to do is, if it is right, then inside this we can do on the main queue dispatch queue dot main dot async, and inside this we can assign the response data to our results, that is decoded response dot result. So now once this data get assigned to our results, this state property gets changed, and then once the state property gets changed, our list will get refreshed. So now let's check this, but before doing that, what else we can do is, here we can check if everything is fine. Okay, so here I need to return also. If nothing is wrong, then I have just to say return here. Also I have to print here if my API is not working. Suppose if data is not right, then we need to print something here. So let's print, I will say fetch failed, and I will pass the here string, that is error dot localized description. So it will print the reason for the failure, but suppose if it is optional, so I need to unwrap it also, or I can provide an optional value, that is unknown error. Okay, so now our code is done. Now we can test it. So let's test, run it here. Okay, it's running, but somehow the data is not coming here. Let's run it on the actual simulator and see. Okay, so here also we can see the data is still not here. So what we can do is we can just check our API whether it is correct or not. iTunes.apple.com, and here I have provided the search term Taylor Swift entity, and let me just check it here. Let me just call it as results, and let's check it again. Okay, we need to change here also. Okay, now the data is coming. So the mistake was, here I have written only result, but you can see that here it is results. so we need to write the same key here also. That's why it was not working earlier, but yeah, now it's working and you can see data is coming properly. Let me just run it again. Once the data or the view gets loaded, so this function gets called from here on appear, and this will call this load data function, where we have just unwrapped our URL called the URL session data task. We have got the response, we have assigned it to our results, which is the global variable. You can say here it is available, and once the value of the state property gets changed, wherever it is used inside our main view, that part gets again re-rendered. So we have used our results on our list, so just because this gets value gets changed, the whole body property gets re-rendered again. So that's how you can use or do API calls in SwiftUI. So that's all guys for today's video. I hope you have learned something new, like we have learned today how to do API calls in SwiftUI. So to learn same thing or same features or different types of features from SwiftUI, you can follow me here on, or you can subscribe to my channel, or you can follow me also on different platforms. Like for today's code, I will be uploading that code here on my GitHub profile. Then also you can follow me on here Instagram, where I post my video updates daily. Also, yeah, also you can follow me on Twitter, where I post updates about iOS development. So if I found anything new and very useful thing, then I try to tweet that here. So thank you guys for watching this video, and I hope you have a great day ahead. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.